The success is all mine. If you tell Dad, you'll be demoted.
No one believed me after falling for Kent's sweet talk. On top of that, Kent kept piling it on. Kent, who usually slacks off, not only stole my work, but also ruined my reputation. I thought of trying to get back at him, but I couldn't beat Kent's slick talk. All I could say was, "Got it," forcing myself to accept it and swallow my frustration. It's true that I got excited about the $20 million deal, but I never imagined I'd be treated like this. However, the big contract was too much for Kent. Kent, who just strutted around as the CEO's son without thinking, would soon realize the magnitude of his blunder and his lack of thoroughness. If he had known his limits, things would have turned out differently. My name is John. I'm an ordinary office worker at a company that handles not only real estate, but also the construction of buildings like office towers and condos. At 40 years old, I have a happy life surrounded by my loving wife and adorable child. We were thinking about moving to a new house as our kids grew. Half of it was work-related, and while casually looking for properties, I stumbled upon an incredible deal. I quickly set up an appointment, and the meeting progressed smoothly. If everything goes well, this could turn into a huge contract. I might get a lot of praise at the company, and maybe even a nice bonus next time. Excitedly, I told my wife, and she was as thrilled about my success as if it were her own. With high hopes for a bright future, I poured even more effort into my work. But my excitement was quickly dampened by my colleague, Kent. Kent, who joined the company at the same time as me, always seems to be slacking off. He's never fired because he's the CEO's son. Because of this, he has an oddly arrogant attitude and is always overly familiar with colleagues and bosses.
Huh? There's no way I'm doing the work of a regular employee. Don't underestimate the future CEO.
Kent's arrogant attitude, even towards basic tasks like contracts and negotiations, was problematic. I don't know if it's true, but if Kent becomes the second-generation CEO, what will happen to this company? This concern was so serious that some employees were actually quitting.
Hey John, got anything interesting going on?
That's a sudden question. Kent would interrupt, regardless of time or place, whether during work or not. I might have been the perfect target for Kent, who always strutted around arrogantly. Whenever he gave unreasonable orders, he'd even threaten to fire me if I refused. I knew Kent didn't have that authority, but as an ordinary employee, I couldn't oppose him and often felt humiliated. If Kent found out about this deal, who knows what he'd do? I felt like I was in a high-stakes job until the deal was successfully concluded, so I tried to avoid Kent as much as possible and stayed vigilant. However, my efforts were in vain, as the news of the big contract somehow leaked. It's true that this is a $20 million deal, the largest in the company's history. Though it's not known that I'm the one handling the deal, there's no telling who might find out. The thought of Kent hearing about this terrified me. Rumors spread quickly, and soon it became impossible to claim the work as mine. I felt like a suspicious person, constantly worried about the eyes around me. Sure enough, Kent found me and, with a smug smile, wrapped his arm around my shoulder.
Hey John, have you heard about the rumor of that huge contract?
I've heard the rumors.
That deal isn't your project, is it?
Kent, sensing something, started probing me.
Hey, don't get too cocky. As the future CEO, I see everything.
It's nothing big. Besides, this job isn't something that would trouble you, Kent. I carefully responded to avoid upsetting Kent. His sly smile gave me a bad feeling. I'd heard rumors that Kent had a habit of stealing others' deals and claiming them as his own. Maybe he sensed something off in my behavior this time too.
Who do you think I am? You did bring in that deal, didn't you?
Kent's sharp questioning left me speechless, and I covered my mouth with both hands to avoid saying anything unnecessary. However, confirming his confidence with my attitude, Kent approached me as if he were an innocent child asking a friend to borrow a toy, getting close to my face. Feeling I might get bulldozed as usual, I fled the scene to get away from Kent. As I ran, Kent, clearly annoyed, tried to act cool.
I'll let you off this time.
His tone, filled with malicious intent, sent a chill down my spine, but I thought I'd manage to get through it. However, Kent kept peeking at my computer every chance he got. Something wrong?
No, nothing at all. Just work seriously.
I'd prefer if he did his own work instead of bothering others, but saying that might provoke him to do something worse. I continued my work, maintaining a neutral attitude. One time, returning from an outside meeting, I saw Kent rummaging through my desk. Kent, what are you doing?
I was just checking if you were working properly. You should be grateful that the future CEO himself is guiding you.
It was clear he was trying to steal my project. As soon as Kent left with a smug look, I immediately checked the documents for the $20 million deal. Seeing no signs of tampering, I felt relieved, but then sensed a cold stare and looked around. Kent was nowhere to be seen. I closed my computer screen and wiped the cold sweat off my brow. The next morning, I was stunned when unfounded accusations were thrown at me.
John, have you heard the rumor that Kent brought in that big contract?
What? What do you mean?
Also, there's talk that you tried to steal that project from Kent. I had high regard for you, but I'm honestly disappointed now.
Sophia, the department head, is highly trusted by all employees, regardless of gender or age. I secretly admired Sophia too, but her words left me confused and lost.
I know you work diligently, but to find out that you're a fraud who steals others' work is shocking.
Wait a minute, I would never do that. Despite my protests, Sophia was not only unwilling to believe me, but also reprimanded me with a look of utter disappointment. At that moment, Kent appeared, perfectly timed.
Sophia, please forgive John. He must have acted out of desperation to support his family.
Speaking to Sophia with false concern, Kent flashed a triumphant smile at me. While pretending to defend me, Kent's fake laugh made Sophia frown at me with disdain. Why do I have to hear this? Thinking back, I remembered Kent's suspicious behavior and hastily opened my computer. The $20 million deal data was gone. Last night, Kent must have stolen the data from my computer and reported it to the department head as his own work. He even added the false accusation that I tried to steal the project, leading to Sophia losing trust in me. Kent, what have you done? In a fit of rage, I grabbed Kent, but the employees who had overheard my exchange with Sophia looked at me with scorn. This isn't what it looks like.
John, stop it. Stealing someone else's credit and then throwing a tantrum when caught? Don't you think that's disgraceful?
Sophia's reprimand drew more onlookers, all convinced I was the villain. The cold stares from the employees told me no one was willing to believe me. Unable to bear it, I left the scene. Feeling dejected, I stood near the vending machine with a coffee in hand when Kent approached with a smug look.
John, thanks to you, I'm going to be the CEO soon.
Why did you do that? I glared at him with resentment, but Kent looked down on me without a care.
In what world does an average employee like you get entrusted with a rumored mega deal? It's unbelievable. $200 million is a shock, but rest assured, I'll take over and handle it.
I couldn't comprehend what Kent was saying, and my mind went blank. The only way I could fight back was to talk directly to Kent's father. I learned after joining the company that my father, who had worked as a carpenter for years, was good friends with Kent's father, the company's president. They were so close that they often went out drinking together. Kent's father, Carl, had met me a few times after I got the job. Of course, Kent knew this. We had shared meals several times, and over time, Carl had grown fond of me, which made Kent envious. Kent, realizing my best move was to talk to Carl, warned me not to do so.
You may be sneaky, but this success is mine. If you tell Dad, you'll be demoted.
I wanted to outsmart Kent, but his slick talk was more convincing than mine. Even if I told Carl, he might be swayed by Kent. If Carl mistakenly believed that I stole the credit, I could be fired. Understood. Out of options, I could only grit my teeth in frustration as Kent walked away laughing. Despair consumed me, and I lost all motivation for work, drifting through my days aimlessly. 3 months had passed since Kent stole the $20 million deal. One day, Carl burst into the office, pale-faced and out of breath.
Where's Kent?
Carl's booming voice echoed through the office. Everyone was shocked, and all eyes turned to Kent, who, despite it being morning, was napping at his desk. He woke up with a red mark on his cheek and a groggy voice.
Oh, Dad, what's the rush?
How can I not be in a rush?
Carl stormed over to Kent, his face red with anger, and yelled so loudly it hurt my ears.
You're in charge of the $20 million deal, right? What's going on with the schedule?
What? Huh? What are you talking about?
Kent, caught off guard, looked like a deer in headlights. It was about the $20 million deal I had initially secured, but Carl's rage was intense. At first, I didn't understand why Carl was so furious, but it seemed Kent's negligence had caused a major problem.
What's the progress on the $20 million project?
A $20 million project? What are you talking about, Dad? You mean the $20 million land?
I was as stunned as Carl. Realizing that Kent had completely misunderstood the details of the $20 million deal.
The demolition of the land should be done by now. So what's the big deal?
Why has nothing been done on the schedule after that?
Huh? What do you mean after that?
The $20 million projects I secured was to build a high-rise condo on prime land in the city. The plan was to demolish the existing building, clear the land, and then construct the high-rise condo. The proposal Kent stole only covered the land clearing part. Moreover, I was no longer involved, as the project management company had been told that Kent was in charge. I opened my computer and found that only the high-rise construction plan, saved in a separate file, was still intact. No one would think that clearing land alone could be a $20 million project. Surely, the management company must have been repeatedly inquiring about the construction schedule and materials. I found it hard to comprehend how Kent managed to proceed with the project. Kent, who never did any work, didn't understand even the basics.
I've been getting reports asking what's going on. No orders for materials, no construction plans submitted, And no schedule with subcontractors, nothing.
Huh? Do I have to do all that? Sounds like a hassle.
Don't be ridiculous.
Carl was trembling with rage, almost collapsing. The issue had come to light because of complaints from subcontractors about not being informed of anything. The situation had escalated into a major crisis. With 3 months gone, the delays were catastrophic. The penalties for delays and the costs of the prepared materials would be enormous. Moreover, Kent hadn't secured any financing. What was he thinking, and how could he claim to be the future CEO with such a mess? At this rate, the company might really go bankrupt.
The $20 million project is abandoned, and we're out of funds. How are you going to take responsibility?
Wait, I don't even understand what's going on.
It's your project. Who else is supposed to manage it if not you?
Even a new employee wouldn't make such mistakes. This was beyond ignorance of work. Panicking and floundering, Kent was near tears, while Carl, in utter despair, held his head in his hands. The office was in chaos, with everyone looking pale. Suddenly, Kent snapped and charged at me. As I stood there dumbfounded, Kent said something he really shouldn't have.
You're the one to blame. It's your fault for bringing in this confusing project. You fix it.
Kent, breathing heavily, confronted me, saying the unforgivable.
What did you just say, Kent?
I'm saying the one who brought in this project should take responsibility.
Kent, in a frenzy, didn't even realize what he was admitting to.
You know I can easily fire you with my power as the future CEO. If you don't want that, take responsibility and fix this.
Completely unaware of the awkward atmosphere, Kent continued to blame me. The employees, unable to hide their shock, watched us with bated breath. As I struggled to respond, Sophia, looking desperate, spoke to Kent in a trembling voice.
Kent, is it true that the $20 million project was actually John's achievement?
How many times do I have to say it? I'm not at fault. John is, and he should take responsibility.
Feeling something was off, Kent finally realized the gravity of his words and started rambling a nonsensical excuse.
No, well, John was trying to steal the projects, so it's not just my fault. John has some responsibility too.
What is going on?
So Kent was the one lying?
Kent stuttered and stumbled over his words as Carl and Sophia bombarded him with questions. With no way to escape, Kent broke down.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
After being scolded by the two and collapsing to the ground, Kent shrinks down, crying and sniffing weakly. The employees looked upon him with pity as he cried uncontrollably like a child. Yes, the project was originally mine. Should I take care of it? At this rate, the company would truly go under. I took out a stack of business cards and prepared to contact the bank's loan officer. However, just as I was about to make the call, Kent, who had been crying moments before, suddenly glared at me and snatched the phone away.
We don't need someone like you.
Just as Kent, full of hostility and still tearful, was about to argue, Hillary, from accounting, timidly approached.
Excuse me, I need to confirm something about these receipts. Is Kent here?
What do you want? Get lost if it's not your business.
Terrified by Kent's furious glare, Hillary handed the stack of receipts to Sophia. Sophia stiffened momentarily as she looked over the receipts, then handed them to Carl with a dismayed expression.
What are these?
These are receipts Kent submitted. but many items don't seem like necessary expenses, and they're all quite high.
The stack of receipts Carl received was labeled as entertainment expenses, but they were all from clubs and bars. Kent had been hopping from one place to another daily for over a month. Carl, baffled by the outrageous receipts, confronted Kent.
Kent, what are these?
Huh? Of course, it's for entertainment. A $20 million project requires a lot of networking.
Sweating profusely, Kent tried to cover up with lies. But it was no use. Kent, what are you thinking? Kent tried to intimidate me when I voiced my thoughts.
I'm the future CEO. What's wrong with using company money? You wouldn't understand, you lowlife.
Kent's arrogance made Carl and Sophia's faces turn red with barely controlled rage.
Enough is enough.
You're ruining this company. You're no longer my son. You're fired immediately.
Wait, please wait.
Finally realizing the magnitude of his actions, Kent suddenly crouched down, pressing his head against the floor as he began apologizing to Carl.
Dad, please don't fire me. I'm begging you.
Carl, disgusted by his selfish plea, roughly shook off Kent's arm and walked away. Kent then turned to Sophia for help, but she too was appalled and silently walked away from him. As the other employees scattered, Kent was left alone, despairing and bewildered. The company, burdened with enormous debt due to Kent's actions, went bankrupt. In addition to the excessive receipts, it was discovered that Kent had been secretly embezzling money for some time. Carl disowned him and demanded compensation. One day, I saw Kent in a bar. He was being scolded by a staff member at the back of the bar. Right after that, Kent, with an imposing demeanor that didn't match that of a waiter, came over to take the order.
Hurry up with your order, I'm busy.
When he recognized me, his face turned pale, and he left without taking my order. He didn't come back to my table for the rest of the evening. As I was leaving, thinking I'd never see him again, Kent stopped me.
Hey, wait a minute.
Despite his authoritative demeanor, Kent said nothing and simply stared at me intensely. An employee with a stern look dragged Kent back inside without a word. Not sure what he wanted, I felt this was finally the end of my connection with Kent. I left the bar relieved and went home. A few weeks later, I got a call from Kent. He had quit his job at the bar after being suspected of stealing money. The real culprit was found after he was fired, but he was too angry to return. Given his past with company funds, it wasn't surprising he was suspected. Not knowing what to say, I eventually realized the call had ended. I had found a new job at a major construction company right after the scandal, but Kent was struggling with debt and without his father's support. He might have been asking for a job. I wondered what kind of work Kent could do. Then I received a call from a nursing home looking for workers. Despite my better judgment, I couldn't ignore it and contacted Kent. Kent, would you be interested in a job in nursing?
Is there really a place where I can work?
Talking to Kent for the first time in a while, he was no longer intimidating but surprisingly humble. It seemed Kent had learned from his hardships and regretted his past. He hesitated about working with the elderly, but the benefits and housing convinced him to try. A year later, the nursing home asked me to discuss building a new facility. During the meeting, Kent's name came up. Has Kent caused any trouble? I hadn't heard from them since his introduction, and I was worried he might have quit. To my surprise, Kent was well liked and doing well. He had even been put in charge of events, working energetically. They were planning to make him the manager of the new facility, which shocked me. It seemed Kent had turned his life around. Seeing that even someone like Kent could change made me happy. This incident made me realize my work could change someone's life. I had been fortunate with new opportunities and now lived happily in a new home. I hope to continue doing work that could change lives, just as I had helped Kent.